Welcome back, friends. We're so excited that you're here joining us again today. This is our second installment of the forgiveness pillar of the energy work that we do together. I mean, I really don't know how to describe it. I feel like we talk about it being these pillars from the Love the Shit Out of Yourself program, but it's not just from the Love the Shit Out of Yourself program. It's like our actual life and in the ways that we navigate this beautiful world. So
Yeah, and we really, since being on this journey together of awareness, we um, we kind of take experiences and we take bits of information that we have collected along the way, and we apply them to our lives. And um, there's things that we've learned from, like Kat's mentioned, Joe Dispenza. um, there's all sorts of other doctors, scientists, spiritual leaders and gurus, and books and podcasts and all things that we've taken in through our senses, and we've kind of filtered them out through our life experience, and we're sharing with you like what has worked for us.
yeah, so again, and I hope we've stated this before, but we are in no way um, telling you how you should live your life. We're just hoping that when we share these experiences from these different perspectives, these wider perspectives, that they also maybe open your perspectives or give you a sense that there can be more ease in your life. There can be more clarity in your life. There can be more love in your life. There can be more magic in your life. And it all starts with you. You know, it's so easy to look outward at things that we wish we could change about our life or about others, um, and and buy things and have these experiences. But until we look and we pause and we really dive inward, and get curious about why we are the way that we are and why we have the experiences that we have, um, we're just kind of wandering lost through this life and allowing it to happen to us, which is not a bad thing. But it's, when you're aware of it, then you get to actively choose, if you're co-creating your life or if you're just letting it happen to you, which neither is right or wrong.
Yeah, I've encountered lots of different people throughout my life, and um, I've there's people that come into this world that everybody's on a different level. Like you might run into some people who right out the gate, they know who they are, they know what they're doing, what their purpose is, and they are just going full steam for it. But I don't think that's very common. I think that's actually pretty rare. And from me speaking from my experience, I've been lost, I've been disassociated, um, distracted, disconnected from myself and from others for a good bit of my life. And doing these practices that Kat and I are talking about here has helped me to realign with my path. Which again, I don't know where it's going, but I know that I'm having more joy and having more clarity. I also have more sadness. I have more feelings, basically, and I don't shy away from them anymore like I used to. I don't try to distract from them or disassociate or fill the void with something that is not as meaningful as learning something new about myself and learning something new about people around me, which is what fills me up and helps keep me in alignment. And it comes back to we're all just trying to relearn ourselves to our core and shine that out to the world if we want to.
Beautiful. Yeah. So that really dives into a little bit more of why forgiveness is so incredibly important. It's been an incredibly important tool for us on this path, because well, and again, this is all from my perspective, but you have to feel to heal. And as a society, we've really done a good job of avoiding feeling and like taking those quick fixes, those instant gratifications, those distractions, those ways to dissociate and disconnect from our human body or our actual experience. So when we invite you, to become aware of yourself, every like he said, everything gets bigger. So not only do you get to feel more joy, but you also do experience more sadness,
Yeah.
more grief, and it's not that it's more, it's probably the level that it was meant to be experienced in the beginning, but we did it we deemed certain things as good and certain things as bad for whatever reason, again, because they all just are. But we did that, and then we were like, well, I don't want to feel that way, so I'm not going to. But you you we don't really get the option to do that, because emotions are energy in motion. If we don't allow them to move, then where do they go? They get stuck, they get stagnant, and when they settle into our cells, or they settle into our DNA, or they are this part of us that hasn't, however you want to look at it. Again, it can be looked at like so many different ways. um, it starts to become disease, whether it's mental, emotional, physical, energetic. It's this imbalance that's happening inside of us, or in our field. And if we can start to go in there and like move this stuff around, and bring it back to balance, why not? Well, I mean, why not? Why do we want to carry around um, stuff longer than we have to?
Yeah. And like to speak to, feeling in our body, um, and that aspect of this, and this is kind of like the real, you know, ground, the real anchor to this whole kind of program that we're here talking about. I've recently started doing some deep like fascia work and fascia, whatever you want to call it. Um, and I've noticed like I've been feeling a little bit more sadness and a little more grief lately, and I can. To me, I believe that that's because of the work I've been doing in my fascia. I've been training it. I've been introducing more elasticity and flexibility into my fascia, and I feel like that's one of, if not the one of the biggest areas where these emotions, this energy gets trapped. And so I feel like lately I've been moving that and exercising that, and some of these things that have been trapped for a long time are showing back up. And for me, I believe, yeah, one of the number one emotions, or area of emotions that I definitely haven't wanted to feel throughout my life has been sadness and has been grief. And there have been plenty of times when I have, you know, it's been appropriate for me to feel sadness and feel grief, and I didn't maybe allow myself to. And so that stuff is starting to bubble back up to the surface, and I'm grateful that I have this these pillars, um this program, this starts with the awareness. So I have the awareness that I'm feeling this now. Okay, what do I want to do with it, and to come back to forgiveness, which is again the topic of this podcast. um with the awareness that I've gained, I can go back and I can forgive the version of me that suppressed those feelings, or felt like it wasn't appropriate to feel sadness or to feel grief or to feel loss in the moment that it happened. So now I am practicing going back and forgiving that version of myself, whether I was 9 years old or 16 years old or 26 years old. Those are actually all very pivotal moments in my life around those ages. And it's just a great, great experience. And at the same time, I'm also moving it, and that will be something that we talk about in the future. So back to Kat. Thank you.
Yeah. Oh, that was awesome. I love you. So what I've noticed, definitely in the past couple of months, like, because David's talking about he's been doing fascia work. I've been doing some fascia work. It's fascinating. No, I was kidding.
It's
No,
very
it's
fascinating.
fascinating. If you want to dive down that, there's so many amazing teachers out there. Human Garage is a really beautiful one, and I mean, just it's really. Anyways, I'll stay on topic. But I've also been doing some lymphatic stuff. And again, those are like the meridians and things like that. So, um, what I would like to kind of call in or bring into this moment is David talked about how he's been having this sadness show up, and there's no story attached to it. So that's beautiful, right? It's really easy for our mind to want to grab hold of that and be like, I'm sad because of this. Or the fear, I don't know why I'm sad and I need to fix this. There's something wrong. There's no
Hmm.
reason for me to be sad. I need to fix this.
Hmm.
And we're David's 40, I'm 41. We've got 40 years of possibly suppressed sadness. So what we've been doing, and I want to speak this out here. What we've been doing is noticing that in ourselves that we feel a certain way and not needing to fix it. Right? I feel like that's a big part of this forgiveness part is like there's there's nothing wrong with how we feel. There's nothing wrong with it. At any moment, there's nothing wrong with how we feel. Um, our I just did a post about this, but like our thoughts and our emotions are clues. They're not truths. So you're not sad. You're feeling sad. Well, if I'm feeling sad, then this is something that is moving, that needs to move within me, and in my energetic field, and my emotions, and my physical body. This is something that needs to move. So why not just feel it? Allow it to be there without any story attached. And I feel like that's a big part of forgiveness is because, you know, our mind wants to figure it out. Why am I sad? Well, it's because of this. And that puts blame on something. And I mean, I know that it's from something, but what if it's from your actual birth? Like, do you need to go back? I mean, maybe some of us that are more cerebral, like really need the story, but when it comes down to it, the body knows what to do with it. The mind is the one that starts to get in there and biff it, really. I mean,
Kind of muddy the waters a little bit.
muddy the
Yeah,
water,
with so
slow
many
it down.
thoughts. Yeah, yeah, and that does slow down the
Yeah.
process. It really does, and it can actually halt the process
We
when
can get
we
hung in those loops
yeah
again.
when we think too much about it, or we try to find something to blame. If you have childbirth trauma, are you gonna blame your mom? Are you gonna blame the doctors? Are you gonna blame yourself because maybe you didn't turn the right way? Like, that doesn't help you get to the root. It doesn't help you feel the feelings that are needing and asking to be felt.
Right. So it was an experience that happened, and for whatever reason the energy got stuck, and now it's ready to move. So let's allow it to move. Have we talked about the shame dump yet?
I think so. Yeah, but I mean, we could bring it
Maybe
back in.
maybe we haven't talked about it in one of the podcasts that actually got
Ooh, yeah.
posted. So we'll call it in again. I think it's a great practice. We utilize it a lot. So we call it a shame dump, and literally it could be for any emotion. But we're gonna talk about shame a little bit, because as you move through this journey of awareness, you start to recognize how you have imprisoned yourself in painful patterns. And again, there's nothing wrong with that. But when you start to realize that, you might get a little frustrated with yourself or your partner or your child for witnessing them in their own painful patterns, or witnessing yourself in your own painful patterns. So, what I like to offer, or what I like to practice, actually, I don't like to offer it, I like to practice it, is it called a shame dump. And in this space, let's call in a situation. Okay. So I what's the drop in? Okay. I'll use um Delaney. Right, because it's so easy to do that. Because children are such a beautiful reflection. So she's got, her toys are thrown all over her room, because that's what you do as a kid. You have fun with all your stuff. Toys are all over her room. I walk past the room and I see the toys everywhere, and I have something shoot up through my spine, and then words fall out of my mouth. My gosh, look at this mess. Like, we need to get this room cleaned up. And as it comes out of my mouth, I hear and recognize that that is something that was handed down to me. When I grew up, I had the opportunity to um, live with with my grandparents as well as my mom in their beautiful home in that had like beige carpet everywhere through it, and everything had a
Even in the
place, even
bathrooms,
in the bathrooms.
beige carpet in the bathrooms, y'all. It,
Yeah,
it was a thing.
it was a thing. So and it was just everything had a place, and then here I came, and I was just utter chaos. And I know that 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 mindset of everything having a place also came from trauma from my grandmother. Grew up very poor, I believe, like outhouses and things like that, and went
Depression
through the
era
yeah the
stuff.
depression
Yeah.
era. So there's reasons behind all of it, and we can always go and unpack that. But let's go back to the incident that happens, right? So, boom, it gets shot through my spine. I allow words to fall out of my mouth. She hears the words and then starts to, now it's her weight that she gets to carry. Oh my gosh, there's something wrong with me. I'm not doing enough here. I'm not a good child. I'm not doing things right. So I recognize in the moment, I don't want to do that to her. First of all, how beautiful that she has the opportunity to play and have her things all over the place. And if I need them to be cleaned up, then I will go in there with her and encourage her in a positive way. But before I can get to that, I need to let go of the fact that I just turned around and threw my own pain pattern at her. So first, we have the awareness, right? That's the first thing that we talk about. Ooh, I don't like that. I don't like that I just turned around and threw my pain at my child or anybody else, but in this situation at my child. I just saw that. The next thing I do is go into forgiveness. If it's easier to forgive her, right, first, because she's 6 and, her, yeah, I mean, I can't imagine how much fun it was to pull all those things out and be in this world of, imagination. Like, how beautiful is that? So I've forgiven her. And then now I go to forgive myself. It's okay. Kat, you were that little girl. You were that little girl that didn't understand why everything needed a place. You were that girl that felt embarrassed or bad that you let your imagination get away from you, and now all your things were distraught all over your room. You were that little girl. So let's bring in some forgiveness there. And then we go into forgiving anybody else in the situation, right? My mom or my gram, like, because if for whatever reason, you can always attach stuff to it if you need to be cerebral. Like I keep talking about, like, honestly, I do everything through the body, and I'm really using more words than I would ever use in my own personal practice, just so you can understand it a little bit better, or hopefully it comes across a little bit more um, digestible. But really, I witnessed that I've done. Now let me talk through it the way that I would do it in my own body. So now I witnessed that I did it to her, and then I, immediately like just wrap her up in a big love hug. Like I just like envision that I just wrapped her up in love, and then I go and I do the same thing to myself. And now I'm going to do a shame dump. So I make sure that both of my feet are on the ground, whether I'm standing or sitting. Both of my feet are on the ground. I take a deep breath in and expand gently through the lungs, the belly, the chest. And as I exhale, I start to drain any sensation, tension, resistance from the top of my head all the way down and out through my feet. And it might take 2 breaths. It might take 10 minutes. But so I just sit there for a moment and I just allow my body to show me where I'm resisting being soft, being gentle, being heart centered. And I notice where my body wants to be forceful or distract from feeling that. And I sit with it. I feel it. I don't. I do my best. I don't want to say I don't. I do my best not to spin any story where I have done something wrong, right? Because that's just a perception. That's just a perception. So if whatever I've done is just my experience in that moment, and I don't want to take anything moving forward that doesn't need to be in my life. So judgment and shame are only going to keep me trapped and hung in that same reaction. So if if I let it go and I let it move through my system, the next time I walk past her room in a month when those toys are all back in a month,
In an hour.
in an hour, those toys are back out all over the room. I don't feel the same. I don't. It doesn't hit my nervous system the same way, so I don't have that same reaction. I have more of space to create the response that I want to have because in those moments, she's not done anything wrong. So why am I taking pain from my own personal experience and throwing it at her when I can learn to just feel that pain and allow it to move through me and then let it go? And it might take a few times. It might take a few years. I mean, but it also might take just once. So for me, it's the shame dump has become almost instantaneous because I've been doing it for about 4 years now. It's almost like I don't even really think about doing it, but I'm just like, "Ooh, I saw that I did something that even like, saying something gossipy, and which I really try to stay out of that, but these full moons every now and then they'll get me and I'll be like, "Oh yeah, yeah." And then I'll be like, "Wait a minute." I don't want to be that way, or I would, really want somebody to witness me with more compassion if I was in that space. So, yeah, I just take a moment to feel that where it landed in my body. Even talking about it just now, it landed in my shoulders and my heart, right? So, even me thinking about judging somebody else got up in my heart space. So I wanted to guard myself from that energy, from even feeling that energy. So now, even in this moment, I'm going to take a second and I'm going to relax through my whole system, everywhere that I can physically relax in my body, and just visualize or embody the feeling of as much tension as possible, resistance as possible, disassociation or distraction as possible to drain out of my body through my seat or my feet. For me, it works. And maybe you'll have a different version of that. And if you ever want to share them, that you have a different version of that, you already do. Please share it with us so we can share it with the community.
Thank you.
I
Yeah.
know I just talked for like 10 minutes straight.
Nah, that was great. That was beautiful. Thank you so much. Yeah, I think on the last podcast we talked about wanting to speak about getting some tangible, usable tools to help us with forgiveness, and that's definitely a big one that has helped Kat on her journey is that shame dump, and um, it's helped me too, and it takes Kat to honestly to remind me to entertain a shame dump from time to time. She doesn't suggest that I do one. She's just like, hey, I mean, dude, I mean, have you thought about doing a shame dump? I'm just like, all right, well, let me go do that. Um, and because yeah, I feel the same thing too, and I can, sometimes I can, I walk in from being at work, and Delaney is maybe sitting there kind of quietly, which is not usually like her, and Kat's back in her bedroom, and I'm like, I walk into like a situation, right, and it's literally in the middle of the shame dump, and like Kat's back there shame dumping, and she she finishes her practice, very usually very gently and very kindly. She'll inform me that she just had an experience with Delaney and she's doing her shame dump, um and then she comes out and man, like she's back to 100% love, compassion for herself and for me and for Delaney, and it's really beautiful to see the shift that happens very very quickly when she does the shame dump. Um, so something for me that has helped me with this forgiveness part of the process has been to um, to go back and relive moments where I um, responded or reacted um, out of alignment with who I am and who I'm becoming. Right. So I always one of my daily affirmations and mantras and intentions that I set for myself on a daily basis is that I always want to um, I always want to move with kindness and compassion, um, for myself and for all those around me. Um, 'Cause I feel like we can really do that in just about every situation that we're confronted with. We can always add a little bit more compassion, either it's for ourselves or for others. And I've definitely haven't done that in the past. Again, being distracted and disassociated from my feelings. Something comes up, I don't like the way it feels, and I'm blah. I'm angry about it, which really I'm sad about it, but anger comes up to the surface. And so there were, that's a situation has happened, and this is speaking from past experience, and I responded with anger and not compassion for myself or for anybody else involved. And now I kind of want to go back, and I want to like I don't like using right or wrong either, but I kind of want to right the wrong. I want to
Change your
I want
experience,
to change
maybe?
the
Yeah.
experience. I want to, that again, that was maybe a mistake, and I want to go back in my mind and do another take. And this is the one that I want to land as my reality. So I'll go back to a situation, and um, it takes a little bit of effort to remember, right? Because a lot of times when we're reacting in a situation, we're out of our bodies, and
And we're way younger than we are
and
right
we're
now.
way younger than we were when the situation happened. So it takes a little bit of time. It takes effort. It takes maybe some meditation, some science, some practice in silence. If you can give yourself that, um, to go back and to remember a time when this is like you want to apply this, and and then you go back and you try to really recreate the picture, but this time you're not doing it from the version of you that was there. You're doing this from the version of yourself that's now, and to me, I visualize myself kind of like hovering above the situation, and I can see it playing out. I can see, you know, the comment or the action that um, spiked my reaction, and then I can see my reaction, and I can sit there and I can tell that version of David that man, like it's okay, like maybe in the moment, that was all you knew how to do. Maybe um, you didn't have the tools. Obviously we didn't have the tools, and we weren't doing the practice that we are now, um, and that led us to that moment. But now we're in this moment in real time, and we're going back and we're looking at that moment and just witnessing it through the eyes of someone now who has more compassion. um that right there, and I've had to do it like multiple times, like, you know same situation multiple times. It's almost like if a record is playing and then it skips, I have to go back and start it over again, and then it'll skip again, but it'll skip a little bit further down the track. Like I started over again. And for me, that has helped me to relive moments and see them from the observer point of view, with more compassion. And the more that I do it, I am ingraining in me this version of myself that I am now, and that I want to be in as many situations as I can possibly be in, which is kind, compassionate, patient, strong, grounded. Like these are a lot of things that I am told that people outside of me see in me all the time. And it's because I've done a lot of work to get myself to become this version of myself more often. And to me, it's who I am at the core. Like I go back and I listen to stories that my mom tells me about when I was a kid, and I was very kind. I was very compassionate. I always wanted it to be fair. Um, I was very affectionate, very loving. And somewhere along the way, I lost a lot of that stuff. Um, and now I'm finding it again. And it's beautiful. And um, I'm able to see myself through those kind, compassionate eyes, and I'm able to then see the world around me with more kind and compassionate eyes. And um, I can also I can stand firm, and that's who I am. And every once in a while I slip, and I go back to the old program that had run for 30 some odd years. And then if I if and when I catch myself, which is usually a lot sooner now than it used to be, I can hold myself in that moment. And I can do a shame dump, or I can, you know, treat myself as like a little kid that would want to be treated by an authority figure with kindness and with compassion. Like that's how I want to lead in this world. So I have to do it with myself.
That's beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you.
um, and that's the point. Is like we how about that? I thought that I could change my world by doing things outside of myself. And you hear this, from all different types of genres of healing and growth type mentalities. But I mean, it's so real. Like you cannot sustainably and permanently change your outer world without doing inner work. And we have found that these pillars that we work with really make it simple, isn't it? But like simple to understand or tangible to understand. And they've made huge impacts on our life. And I know a lot of people in our community don't really know David and I from our earlier years, but we've almost been together 16 years now. So we've definitely had like um, a lot of experiences together. And within the last 4 years, when we've really been doing this work intentionally and on our own first, we had to do it on our own first, and now we're able to do it together. It's been so unbelievably transformational. I cannot even like begin to tell y'all in one tiny little podcast. And maybe that's something we can do in the future where we really tell our story from the beginning.
Yeah.
That way people
Yeah.
can get a grasp on like, because it's you can hear people when they're already in mid transformation and be like, wow, that sounds great, but how am I ever going to get there? And I want you to know that we did not start off this journey with rainbows and butterflies. There was more pain than happiness.
Mhm.
More
Oh
pain
yeah.
than happiness, for sure, like a
Yeah.
lot of the time. And we masked it very well with substances and distractions. And I'm happy to say that it's not like that anymore. It's not that. It's and the crazy thing about it is, like David even spoke about at the beginning of this podcast, like we feel so much more now than we ever felt, but Um, we were so exhausted in the past from trying to not feel. Does that make sense? Does that make sense?
I
Like
think so. Yeah.
we were like wearing so many masks everywhere that we went that it was so easy to have these like um explosive moments where pain just kind of flew out in all directions. Blame flew out in all directions. And now it's like, wow, I'm feeling a lot more, but I feel so much safer in my own body to feel that I'm not blaming anybody for it.
Mhm.
And I'm just allowing myself, because that's what our human bodies are made to feel. Like they're so brilliant and they know exactly what to do. And really the journey of this has been to feel safer in myself so that I can just be myself, which has turned out to be pretty great. I don't know, I like me, so that's
Yeah.
the most
Well,
important part, right?
I actually read something this morning, um, and it spoke about you know again like the body keeping score basically, and like the body like keeping a tally of things that we feel, and it's like if our body can hold um, anger and sadness and grief, and then it'll also hold joy and um, excitement and all the you know emotions on that side of the spectrum too. So, you know, if all we've been allowing ourselves to be express is anger or sadness, then when you start to do this work, you'll also allow yourself to feel the joy and the cheer and the excitement that has been also like stuck and trapped in your body. So it's about getting, you know, creating more space in your body and allowing these things to surface. So it's not, you know, we kind of, it's not all gloom, and you know, it's not like, you know, you do shadow work, but you're not constantly in the shadows the whole time. Like you, there's so many more moments of pure joy and pure gratitude that come with this practice. And you even, like, for me, like, I even become grateful for the times that I am sad.
Well, that's what I was about to call in. I'm so glad you said that.
Yeah, so it's like, you know, when you do practice gratitude and you do practice, you know, allowing these emotions and feelings to come up naturally, and not suppressing them, and not labeling them or judging them or having to understand them fully, you can then start to kind of, it's like in that in that movie Inside Out,
Oh,
you know, where, you know, it's like joy is trying to like keep sadness down, keep it down, keep it down. Don't do it. Don't feel that. We don't want that. But then like sadness is gonna come up. Like it's determined. You know, it just that's just it's a feeling. It's a tangible feeling. It's gonna
it's a
come
part
up.
of this experience.
Exactly. And so then you start to kind of merge the two. You know, when you allow yourself to fully experience one and the other, you see that you almost can't have one without the other, and then you start to appreciate that and just walk through this world witnessing yourself and others, like, right where they are on their journey, you know. And I'm grateful for the awareness that we have now, for sure.
Yeah, and with that, with that awareness, the forgiveness has become such an integral part of that, because we can witness people where they're at, including ourselves. And again, it's a practice, and there is patience in this in this journey. There's patience, but being able to find the beauty in anger, the beauty in sadness, instead of labeling it bad, the beauty in grief, then these things don't become so heavy. And this what's been called shadow work, or this inner work, um, that part of your journey doesn't have to be so dark or so scary or so lonely, right? You're going inward to rewrite the story,
Hmm.
rewrite the old truths, old beliefs, with more compassion, with more love, with more space, with more balance, right? There isn't a good or a bad way to feel. You're just feeling. And when you start to unattach yourself to the idea that it's right or wrong or good or bad, there's a freedom there. And in that freedom, there's beauty. And in that beauty, there's life, and you're actually living, not pretending to live. You're not resisting. You're not distracting. You're living. And it's so cool. It's so
Hmm.
beautiful.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I one of the things that I believe to be true, like, before we come down to this planet in these bodies, and once we leave these bodies, wherever we go, whatever we become a part of, it's it's thought, and it's believed that it's just, there's this feeling of pure love, right? If you can imagine the most love that you've ever felt in your life, well, when we're no longer in these physical bodies, that is what we feel. That's what I believe. This is what we feel. And so I believe that our soul chooses to come back down to this earth to feel all the other feelings. because yeah, pure love is when we're here on this planet. That to me, like that's like that's nirvana, right? That's the epitome. Why wouldn't we want to feel that all the time? But think about it. Like if that's the only thing that you feel, then you maybe lose appreciation for it. You know, like if it's constantly in your reality over and over and over again, you might not really appreciate it all the time. Who knows? Maybe we do go off and we appreciate it. But I like to believe that we come back down here to feel all the feelings. Like we have this physical body specifically to feel. And when I think about that, that that brings me a sense of ease. You know, that it's okay to feel sad. It's not just okay to feel sadness. It's what we came here to do. We came here to feel sadness, and then right after that, we can feel joy, and we can have more appreciation for the joy. You know, um, and that's you know, I'm sure we'll have a lot more talks in the future about what we believe. It doesn't have you don't have to subscribe to that, you know, at all. Like um, I like to say, and the cat likes to say, you know, take what resonates and leave what doesn't. Um, but I do believe that we're here in these physical bodies to feel and to experience things on this level, and it's not it's not healthy to suppress and to distract and disassociate. Again, that's why our bodies, you know, respond with disease and with illness and with chronic pain. Um, yeah, because I mean, we're just holding these things back because for one reason or another, society has told us that it's not okay to feel that way in that moment, and your higher self is looking down upon you like,
No, they're not.
I hope
They're not looking
I
at
hope I hope they get this. I hope they learn this lesson at some point. You know, it's going to make their lives a little bit
No,
easier.
they're just holding us in love,
Yeah,
just
they are.
watching us like little kids.
Yeah, we mess up, we learn, we grow, we heal, and we do it all over again.
Yeah, and we're all on our own individual paths with this. And you know, doing our I try to do my best to not compare where I'm at to anybody else around me, and also, you know, witnessing people where they're at on the journey really is a part of that forgiveness tool, because when you start to become really aware, it's really easy to want to point out and show people where they're off of their path. But honestly, it's it's their path, and we do not know what's best for someone else. And maybe that's what. Well, how about we'll bring that in the next episode, like how we witness others and use the forgiveness tool there. I think
Hmm.
that's good.
I think that'll be good to talk
Yeah,
about
I think we.
acceptance and forgiveness as well
Yeah. Okay.
in
Cool.
that same episode. Yeah.
So next episode, guys, we'll be wrapping up forgiveness and calling in how we use that in relationships, and a little bit deeper, and what acceptance and forgiveness looks like, and how to navigate a little bit deeper into this second pillar that we use in the Love the Shit Out of Yourself program.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, in our lives, really our lives. So thank you guys so much for being here today. We're just honored that you're giving this a chance, and we hope that it's sparking curiosity within you, and maybe even offering you some tools to support you along your journey. Where you get, if you want to connect with us, or send us any topics or ask us any questions, you can find us at universalchats@gmail.com. That's YO, universalchats@gmail.com. And if you want to join us in person, we meet the second Tuesday of every month for the Conscious Relationship Support Circle at Bright Haven Farm in Huntersville, North Carolina. Yeah, David, you got anything else?
Oh, no, I think that's pretty good. I feel complete, and I guess I just want to say that yeah, we love all of y'all, and we're so grateful that you're a part of our journey.
Yeah, awesome. Have a beautiful day. Go love the shit out of yourself.